Last week, Attorney General Jeff Sessions indicated that the White House will be extremely harsh to anyone who is caught leaking information to the media, and he even threatened that reporters who publish that leaked information could be subpoenaed as a result of their reporting. Well, it was interesting to find today that Donald Trump tweeted a story, a scoop that was written up by Fox News's Lucas Tomlinson. It was a scoop that was actually leaked to him from a member of the intelligence community. And the headline of the story was US spy satellites detect North Korea moving anti-ship cruise missiles to patrol boat. So of course this has to do with the conflict with North Korea. And this was information, classified information that was not supposed to be leaked to a Fox News reporter. Now, nonetheless, this story was on the front page of Fox News, and Nikki Haley, who is the US Ambassador to the United Nations, was on Fox and Friends. She was asked about this report, and take a look at what her reaction was.
Ambassador, on the front page of foxnews.com right now, there is a story that apparently the intel community has picked up. Anti-ship cruise missiles were being loaded onto a patrol boat or patrol boats in North Korea. What can you tell us about that?
I can't.
Why?
I can't talk about anything that's classified, and if that's in the newspaper, that's a shame. But I'll.
You have no reason to believe that's not accurate, though.
I have no reason to comment on that.
That shouldn't be in the newspaper. Is that another leak, I guess?
You know, it's one of these things. I don't know what's going on, but I will tell you it's incredibly dangerous when things get out into the press like that. You're not only just getting a scoop on something, you're playing with people's lives.
Yeah.
And this has got to stop. Whatever the leaks are coming from, if somebody thinks they're getting power or fame from it, all you're doing is putting Americans in danger.
So let me be absolutely clear. Again, this was not something that was published in the newspaper. This was something that was published by a Fox News reporter on the front page of foxnews.com today. And Donald Trump tweeted this classified information prior to Nikki Haley appearing on Fox and Friends. And so look, I mean, if you, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, I mean, I haven't heard any statement from him. I haven't heard any tough talk from officials in regard to this leaked information. I don't know if there's a double standard, if it has to do with Fox News reporting that leaked information. But nonetheless, the lack of communication between the US Ambassador to the United Nations and Donald Trump is obviously an issue here. And Donald Trump is the one who decided to retweet or tweet out this classified information on his account. So.
Okay, so let's break this down even further. So first of all, we were told by Donald Trump that anything that's anonymous sources is fake news. This story had nothing but anonymous sources, okay? Second of all, we were told that leaking is like the worst thing in the world by Donald Trump, who then retweeted this leak. That it is an absolute, undeniable leak. Third of all, this is not a leak about White House machinations and power plays and somebody being called into the office to kill a fly, okay? This is about importance. This is actual intelligence. It doesn't get any more classified than this. This is our enemies are doing this with their missiles, and we know it. Now, notice that the leak is going to Fox News. Who is the person who's best connected to Fox News? It is the ultra right-wing nationalists inside the White House, Trump, Steve Bannon, etc. So, and notice what Nikki Haley said. Nikki Haley said, if somebody's doing it for their own fame or power, I don't know if she's referring to Steve Bannon, but it sounds like a shot at somebody inside the White House. Because they didn't leak it to the New York Times, they didn't leak it to any organization they would consider to be liberal. They leaked it to a friend, and they did it on purpose. And so, okay, you want to investigate leaks? Great, Robert Mueller, let's add this to the list of leaks and that your investigation should be about, because apparently Donald Trump thinks it's the most serious thing in the world, and here he is doing it. These buffoons, this is actual intelligence. Don't leak things that actually could get us into war right now. This is not, hey, our government did something wrong in hindsight, and in a democracy we should know about that. This is not the Pentagon Papers. It's not even WikiLeaks. It's not the Chelsea Manning Apache helicopter video where our government was lying to us. This is about active intelligence in a military conflict that could lead to war. It doesn't get any worse than this leak. And it's super obvious that the White House is doing it. The president retweeted it. He's putting out that propaganda. He's helping that leak get spread further. So I assume criminal investigations are unfolding as we speak. And if you're a right winger, and for months now you've been saying the leak should be prosecuted, I know that you're chanting right now, lock him up, lock him up. Find out who these leakers are, and we don't have to find out who promoted the leak, because it's Trump. He's actively promoting. And by the way, when asked about this, one of his advisors on TV said, well, I mean, the president can just unilaterally declassify things. Wait, so did he or didn't he? Did he declassify this classified information that's incredibly important, or did he not declassify it? Which one is it? So is he the leaker? Oh, oops, you're caught on that one. So in case if he did it, this is how he leaked it, right? What are you, O.J. Simpson? So he does the leak, and now they say, well, afterwards we can kind of declassify if we wanted to on Twitter. Does that sound like a good idea to you? So they are wildly hypocritical, but what I care more about is somebody's got to get the president under control on North Korea. I don't know how you can do it, and it might be time for, this is terrible times. This is not how democracy is supposed to work. But what if he gives the order to the generals to push the button? He said today, fire and fury like the world has never seen. That's what he's going to do to North Korea. And I remember the establishment telling me, oh no, Cenk, you're back then, even as they hated Trump, I get it, right? But they were like, no, you guys are all being hysterical. The generals won't listen to illegal orders. You sure about that? I'm not at all sure about that. And besides which, I don't want the generals not listening to the commander-in-chief. That's not how our democracy works. That's why we got to get him out. He's a threat to the whole world's safety. Help us build independent media. Become a member of the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.